humans, and welcome to 7 Minutes Science, back for a new year with an all-new look. This is your weekly high-speed rundown of all the top science stories happening in the world in the last week. So, without further ado, let's jump in and have 7 minutes on the clock, and in 3, 2, 1, let's go. Okay, Monday, and we start the year off with a story that lets me use a picture of one of my favourite things. Yeah, that's right, we have an Easter Island story. For those who don't know much about Easter Island, it's known for three main things. Its many fabulous, but utterly pointless stone heads. The fact that after being contacted by Europeans back in 1722, its civilization collapsed so utterly that it had been almost wiped out by the time Europeans returned, and it's the home of the Easter Bunny. Well, it seems like that second claim is actually slightly off. Recent archaeological evidence, discovered by Christopher Stevenson and his team at Berkeley, shows that farming on the islands was still going strong as late as 1850, which is partly particularly mental when you consider that the second visit, the one where the Europeans found the entire society had collapsed, was in the 1860s. So in conclusion, if you ever have a time machine, don't go to Easter Island in the 1850s, because apparently it was ridiculously awful. Just to give you an idea, the islands had at least 2,000 people in 1722, and in 1860 it was 111. And now we learn that most of that happened in around a decade. My bet for this, Ronan the Accuser. Tuesday, exciting spacey type news rocketed out of the Harvard Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics this Tuesday, with the announcement of the discovery of 8 new exoplanets, all sat happily in what is known as the Goldilocks zone of their respective stellar companions. That is to say, they sit far enough away from their white-hot burning intensity of their suns that the liquid water can exist on the surface. Which is exciting because, as I've said before, everywhere we found water and we checked that water for life, we found life when it's been liquid water. Admittedly, that's only been on Earth, but as far as we know, it could be everywhere. So, anyway, these planets, particularly Earth-like, 2 of them are the closest to being to Earth that we've ever discovered, and I mean Earth-like in terms of size, distance from the sun, surface temperature, not things like, you know, number of people, internet connectivity, and number of plastic Batman toys. Still very exciting stuff, and as telescopy improves, maybe we'll be able to see signs of life on these planets, either through detection of things like emissions and carbons, or maybe if we're really lucky that we'll be able to see like a kaiju walking around on the surface. It seems unlikely, but it's possible. Space is weird. Okay, Wednesday, fantastic news for those of us who were worried that we might end up going down in history as the generation that flooded half the Earth, wasted all the helium, and used up all the antibiotics. We might have a fix for the last one. As I'm sure you're aware, most bacteria comes from the soil. That's why you shouldn't eat dirt. However, we can grow only about 1% of these bacteria in a lab. The other 99% are much happier occupying the dirt. 99% unoccupied. That's a good joke. I'm pleased with that. Anyway, however, in a recent study, a new method has come around of growing bacteria, and this is really successful. They reckon they might be able to grow up to 50% of the bacteria that grows in soil in laboratory conditions. This has already yielded 25 new antibiotic chemicals, including one, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to read this out, Teixobactin, which is very, very promising. Do you know when the last time we had a new antibiotic was? 1987. Okay, so this is, to quote Mr. Ron Burgundy, this...
kind of a big deal.
Thanks, Ron. Thursday, scientists have developed a computer program which they are calling the Perfect Poker Player. Eventually, this AI will gain more and more power, eventually gambling its way to world domination when it will send a Terminator back from the future to wipe out everybody's poker winnings. And that Terminator? Phil Hellmuth. In all seriousness, this is a real breakthrough in machine learning. Teach a computer to play chess is pretty easy because all the information is available, whereas in poker you never know what your opponent's cards are. Are they betting big because they're bluffing? Are they betting big because they've got a good hand? Are they betting big because they're terrible at poker? You don't know. This system has been devised, it's a computer program, it's played 24 trillion hands of poker every second for a month to teach itself optimal strategy. Now, I'd like to see world-respected poker players take on this machine, see if they can beat it, see if they can't, but it's really unlikely because I don't think this machine has any money to put forward, and that's all poker players care about. And I can only really think of one robot who has really got the scratch to attract them to the table. Okay, Friday. I'm a big fan of physical evidence of the weirder concepts in science, so I'm chuffed to bring you a story about a pulsar disappearing from the sky. This is a pulsar that we, and by we I mean humans, not me particularly, have been monitoring for some time. Now, pulsars are incredibly predictable. They spin and send signals off, they go whop, whop, whop. They're so predictable that the first time one was detected, they wrote it down LGM, Little Green Man, because they assumed this had to be from someone, but no, it's a pulsar. This particular pulsar is a little bit wonky, it's a little bit off, because it's orbiting another star as part of a binary system. Okay, nothing too weird there, but then it just disappeared. Just disappeared. How did it do this? Well, the gravitational effects of the binary system it is in caused a wrinkle in time that made those disappear and they don't hit the Earth anymore. That's an actual physical wrinkle in time is happening out in space and it's affecting stuff we can see on Earth. Proof that time isn't linear but a more complicated bundle of wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. Anyway, and finally, we can now date the stars, and unfortunately I don't mean that I finally have a shot with Julianne Moore. What I mean is that there's a new method that's been discovered for determining the age of our universe's lighting system. It's been known for some time that stars spin very, very quickly when they first explode into existence and then slow down over time until they either kaboom or foom. Those are the two things stars can do. However, the exact relationship has eluded our squishy meat computers for some time. But a recent breakthrough in our ability to measure the spin of stars means that we can actually now have a mathematical formula, and we now know that a star that's been a certain age should be spinning a certain amount, so we can age stars in this new method. It's a powerful new tool, and I'd like to say thanks to Dr. Meeborn and his team, and of course the Kepler Observatory for helping us further our understanding of the universe. And finally, frog news. No, wait, don't go. Frogs can be interesting.
Roll film!
See? Oh man, I should have used the bad guy from Danger Mouse. No, wait, he was told. Actually, frogs, as we all know from primary school, reproduce by laying spawn. That spawn then hatches into a tadpole, which then converts into a froglet in like the weirdest and coolest thing that nature does. In fact, in the case of the paradoxical frog, the frog itself is smaller than the tadpole, which I always found weird and like to share. Anyway, a new discovery basically has discovered what you might not know: some frogs lay live little frogs. But a new frog has been discovered that lays tadpoles. Which is particularly cool. Although I find the idea of tadpoles emerging from something really creepy because I watch too many James Gunn movies.
Said it yourself, bitch. We're the Guardians of the Galaxy.
No, not that one. Yeah, that's the one. That's horribly creepy. Anyway, I'm just going to say about this: life finds a way. That's 7 minutes, that's all the stories. I'd like to thank you very much for watching. One little thing I want to say that we didn't have time to crack in because it's not a real science story, but Stephen Hawking turned 73 this week. A man who, by all medical reasoning, should have been dead a very long time ago, has fought on and revolutionised our understanding of the universe. So we give a hearty salute here to Mr. Stephen Hawking. And as always, if you want to see more of what we're doing, hit the subscribe button. If you like today's episode, hit the like button. And if you think anybody else out there that you know might like what we're doing here, please hit that share button. It's a small thing you can do and it means a lot to us. But until next time, good luck in your endeavours. If your endeavours be good. And goodbye.